It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
You don't need me to tell you that this, of all summers, is one of the most unique that we've had for many reasons around our region. Hi everybody, welcome into the show. One of the things that you may not be aware of that's happening on many lakes across our region is that the game fish of all species, stripers, hybrids, white bass, largemouth bass, are normally schooling, busting shad on top of the water all summer long. But this summer, that activity has been very repressed. On today's show, we are going to talk about why that is the case, what is causing this phenomenon around the Southwest, and how you can go ahead and locate those game fish and catch them in spite of the lack of topwater activity. While I'm doing that out on Lake Ray Hubbard near Rockwall, Texas, we're also going to be roving you around the region for your very latest fishing reports from your favorite lake, river, or bay. Also, on the Lawrence Hot Lake of the Week, we're going to tell you about some fantastic largemouth bass fishing going on here in the summertime at Lake Caddo on the Louisiana-Texas border. We'll have your big fish photo on the big catch of the week, your Ask the Pro answer to your fishing questions online, and we'll have the Academy Right Stuff and talk about the equipment you'll need to catch these fish. While I get the Nitro Z8 launched and ready to go, here's your Chevy Weekend Planner.
A check of the fishing tables for the weekend indicates that the prime daytime activity will take place in the mid-morning. And this should be a good couple of days for night fishing, with the full moon on Saturday and peak evening feeding hours around midnight. Expect sunrise to take place at 6:49 and the sun to set at 8:15. Also, there is a Hooked on Chevy Kidfish event taking place in Fort Worth on Saturday from 9 a.m. until noon. Bring the family for lots of fun and some great prizes. Plus, kids have a chance to catch fish and qualify for the Chevy Kidfish Classic, like Jessica from Katy, Texas, who landed this 27-inch redfish at the 2011 Classic. Visit southwestoutdoorsreport.com and log in as a fan club member, then click on the Hooked on Chevy link to view all of the upcoming events. We'll be right back with all the latest fishing information from around our region. Stay with us.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors. Buy quality award-winning Tracker boats. Fish the finest. Lawrence, maker of the HDS, high-definition systems. And Academy, right stuff, low price, every day.
Swimming at me. White bass. All right. Hey, welcome back everybody. We're talking about the anatomy of schooling game fish. And we're on Lake Ray Hubbard today. Hot summertime, as you well know. And if you saw our show a few weeks ago, you saw me catching largemouth bass schooling on top under a bridge at Lake Fork. So several different species of these fish will do this. But let's begin the conversation by talking about what happens down deeper. In the summertime, the layers of the water begin to stratify and separate into areas that have less oxygen and more oxygen. That's called a thermocline. Now let me roll in here some footage I shot just a few minutes ago out in deeper water, out at about 36 feet of water, and you can very easily see where the layer of oxygenated water at about 20 feet separates from the layer that does not have much oxygen down below it. Now you can see all the bait fish are above that 20-foot thermocline. What's going to happen is all that bait fish is suspended, and every once in a while a little pod of game fish will herd up a bunch of those threadfin or gizzard shad, push them up toward the surface, and use the surface as a backdrop, and you can just see all those fish thrashing on top. We've seen a few schools out here today, but not very many. We'll stay at this, but first up, here's Brian Hughes with your Texas freshwater fishing report.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Executive Outfitters. Now we're going to start in the west again this week with another lake holding its own, that's OHIV. I've got reports of acres of schooling bass. They spend a little time on top, then work their way down through the water column towards the bottom, but always staying above the thermocline. You'll need several baits to catch these bass on OHIV, including pawpars and buzzbaits for when they show up on the top, deep diving crankbaits, and even spoons for when they're in the middle of the water column, and drop shots are going to work when they're down towards the bottom. Now out in East Texas, we've also got a topwater bass bite on Toledo Bend, where you'll find them in the shallows 5 feet and less early in the mornings and late in the day. Then they'll move out to the first drop about 10 to 15 feet deep, and again, your drop shot rigs, Carolina rigs, and Texas rigs will work on these Toledo Bend bass. And for crappie, Lake Fork, under the bridges. Use crappie rigs with a rather heavy weight. The reason for that, there's a lot of bass under those bridges too, and you want to get down to where the crappie are holding about 15 to 20 feet deep. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by your Texas destination for dove hunting, Executive Outfitters. Let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report. For the very best monthly coastal and inland fishing information, plus year-round hunting tips, check out our award-winning publication. Pick up a copy of Texas Outdoors Journal on newsstands or subscribe securely at the website on the screen. Well, the high-pressure dome continues to bring hot weather along the Texas coast. That pattern has also allowed for some lighter wind days on a portion of the coast. Anglers on the upper coast have been chasing birds as well as fishing deeper reefs and drop-offs in Sabine, Trinity, and Galveston Bays. Wells also continue to produce. On the opposite end of the coast, the lower Laguna Madre continues to see good action around the causeways for specks and mangrove snapper. The potholes south of Holly Beach are giving up good redfish on mullet and artificial lures. Anglers fishing Texas Middle Coast are chasing trout slicks around reefs, grass beds, and potholes from Port O'Connor southward to Baffin Bay. Fish have hit topwater lures early with soft plastics as well as shrimp under a popping cork during the middle of the day. Some of the better success stories have come from deeper water. The Intercoastal Waterway, the channels and well pads around Shamrock Island and Cove, as well as the deeper edge of grass beds around Mud Island are giving up fish. Offshore, the season for amberjack opened back on August 1st. Kingfish, blackfin tuna, dorado, mutton snapper, and ling have rounded out catches around weed lines and rigs. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Hey, one of the lakes in our region that's been red hot for largemouth bass all summer long, ever since it got hot, is Lake Caddo on the Louisiana-Texas border. So, on this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week, I'm going to show you some general areas on Caddo where the bass fishing has been really good. So let's go to the Lowrance HDS10 with the Insight Shaded Relief Mapping, and we're going to locate Lake Caddo near Mooringsport, Louisiana, which is located down near the dam. The area we'll focus on is west of there in the Big Lake area. We switch to the Navionics Hot Maps Platinum chart for lots more detail. The whole area is one big shallow swamp. It's even shallower now because the lake is 2.5 feet low, so be very careful in this area. Tucker Landing is here off FM9, and Swanson's Landing is right here. From Tucker Landing, the channel is shallow, so trim your motor up real high and idle out. Reports from the Louisiana Fishing Forum say the bass are good around the grass and lily pads. Anywhere in this area is good, and the depth does not matter. They're biting on frogs, soft jerk baits, and topwater poppers. Several good fish over the slot in 2 to 4 feet of water off small points in between the weed lines have been caught. Be sure you have a good GPS and a good chart like the Navionics Hot Maps Platinum. You can get lost real easy in this area if you don't have one. That's this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week. Stay with us. Coming up next, Cajun Phil and Kevin report from Louisiana.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Academy. Right stuff, low price, every day. Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. Coast at Del Mar Sunglasses. See what's out there. And by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
Oh, there's one. Under the boat he goes. What's this? White bass. All right, we've got them going right here. Hey, welcome back everybody. Southwest Outdoors report today talking about how to locate these schools of fish in the hot summertime. There's not been as much schooling activity around our region this summer as there normally is, and we talked about in our last segment the thermocline, the area of water that has less or no oxygen in it. And on this particular lake, at Lake Ray Hubbard outside Rockwall, Texas, it's below 20 feet. So here's your first key. You need to be fishing. Your lure needs to be in less than 20 feet of water. Now, that doesn't mean your boat has to be sitting in less than 20 feet, but you need to be fishing in less than 20 feet of water. And I've got this fish flopping around everywhere. One of the best baits to use to try to do that with is a lipless, rattling crankbait. As you can see, this one right here is a gold color. You can use anything shiny, a chrome, a shad color, this one in a gold, something like that will work real well because it'll keep that bait up shallower than 20 feet. You don't want to be dropping a big heavy spoon down to the bottom anything deeper than 20 feet deep. That's your first key to locating where these fish are going to be all summer long. Find the thermocline, fish shallower. Next up, here's Cajun Phil and Kevin in Louisiana.
Hey friends, it's old Cajun Phil with your Fox, Louisiana fishing report. Let's talk bass fishing real quick. All my guys up at Caney Lake that said it's on right there to catch some fish at deeper water, probably 15 to 70 foot on plastics water. And I tell you what, right now, the bite is on. They're not very big, but they're catching lots of 2 to 2.5 pound fish again in about 15 foot of water. As far as saltwater action, well, Kevin's been keeping up with the guide service here at Calcasieu Lake. The guys are living it out every day with speckled trout on topwater plugs. That's a good sign because they're usually a little bit bigger when that happens. Also, good bite on plastics for the redfish around the weirs on the south end of the lake. So I tell you what, friends, right now, the action is hot and heavy here in Louisiana. Give us a call.
Well, you're not going to believe this. Out here throwing this crankbait, trying to catch these little white bass, and look at what I have stuck. Look at that dude right there. That's a 4-footer gar. And he's probably gonna eat my crankbait. And if he doesn't, I'm gonna cut it off because I will not be touching this fish. Here we go. I'm gonna break my line. And there goes the fish right there. You never know what's gonna happen out here in the wild, wild Ray Hubbard. Stay with us. Coming up next, Gary Dollahan has your fishing reports from Oklahoma. No telling what else is liable to happen. Don't go anywhere.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Stren, the standard of dependability, by Jean LaRue Lures and Bobby Garland Baits, quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride. Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors, and Mercury Marine.
What did I do? Oh, welcome back everybody. Lake Ray Hubbard, and I was out here just about to give up. Not much schooling activity going on. We're talking about schooling today, by the way, and something has slammed my spoon. It's a small hybrid striper right there. How about that? Let's hoist it in. There we go. All right, it's a good fight. Boy, you can always tell a hybrid as soon as they bite. Hey, let's talk about a couple of other quick hit factors about schooling on your favorite lake. Things to remember if you want to catch some schooling fish. We're going to let that little hybrid go back. And I will tell you first of all that schooling is an early and late deal. First 3 hours of daylight, last 2 hours before dark. Get there early or go late to have your best chance of seeing the schooling fish on top. Secondly, don't get too locked into the schools. I've caught quite a few white bass today fan casting around an area where I saw a school come up and go back down. These fish aren't staying up more than about 15 seconds when they come up. So you don't have to get a cast right into the school. Fish the area with a spoon or that lipless rattling crankbait, and you can catch fish that are right under the surface of the water. And let me tell you as well that you want to keep a pair of binoculars handy. You won't believe how far off you can see a school when they're blowing water into the air. And finally, I've seen less schooling activity this year around the region than I have in many years past, probably because of the extremely hot surface temperatures, as hot as 94 to 96 degrees in some lakes around our region. Next up, your Oklahoma fishing reports with Gary Dollar.
Man, I don't have to tell you it's hot. We've had that long string of 100-degree days, and it is the true dog days of summer. What you can do to catch fish right now, though, is just change up a little bit and think a little bit differently than what you were doing even a month ago. Went to Lake Eufaula, the dam part of the lake, clear water, lots of deep opportunities there. As soon as we launched the boat, we started seeing where the shad activity and most of the fish activity was occurring in that 18 to 22 foot depth range, so we had a good key right there. We started out fishing shallow off some of the rocky points where the wind was coming into it and caught a few small largemouth and spotted bass, but once we went out a little bit farther and started fishing that break line, 18 to 22 foot, with a jig and spoon and a crappie jig, we started catching lots of species and some pretty interesting ones too. We caught largemouth, spotted bass, drum, crappie, and a nice flathead. Also at this time, with the water levels down somewhat, you're seeing a lot of big boulders exposed along the bank, so those of you that like to sunfish, great time to go right now. You can take a small rooster tail or crappie jig, walk along those banks and cast out among those boulders. You're going to catch some really nice sunfish. Just be careful walking through those rocks. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Hey, right quick, before we go to this next break, let me show you what the game fish are feeding on when they're schooling on top. In fact, I just drifted over. Here it is right here. This is a threadfin shad, and this is a perfect example of what's happening down here. All of those fish that I showed you on the graph earlier, the bait fish, are these. That's a threadfin. That's the smaller of the two species. They only get to be maybe 3-4 inches long. There's a much larger species of shad that's a gizzard shad that will get up to 10-12 inches long, and the bigger fish can feed on those. But there are thousands and millions of these, and that's what the white bass, stripers, hybrids, and largemouth bass are pushing to the surface and feeding into a frenzy right on top when they can't escape. Little key right there. That is like cotton candy to a fish. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll have your Ask the Pro, Big Catch of the Week, and the Academy Right Stuff.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Garcia For Life. By Navionics. Enjoy Navionics anytime, anywhere. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Motor Guide Trolling Motors.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for our Ask the Pro feature. Our question this week is from Chris in Houston, who wants to know, how does the full moon affect daytime fishing? Good question, Chris. With the full moon on Saturday, let's check with Bassmaster elite angler Tommy Biffle.
Well, I think the full moon hurts daytime fishing, unless they're spawning. You know, if they're spawning, they're on the beds and you can see them, then it's, you know, a different story. But I believe when the moon's up, they're feeding, and when the moon goes down, they're not feeding. And same way with deer hunting. I'm a big deer hunter, and I pay a lot of attention to the moon.
Thanks, Tommy. If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Follow the Ask the Pro link and send us your information. Now here's Barry with our Whataburger Big Catch of the Week.
Thanks very much. This week's winner of the Big Catch of the Week photo contest is Luke Weeks of Valiant, Oklahoma. He is shown here with two largemouth bass on the same cast, on the same lure. He caught these out of Pine Creek Lake, a great little bass fishing lake in southern Oklahoma. If you'd like to enter our photo contest, go to the website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, top right-hand corner of the front page is everything you'll need to register to become a member. It is free, and then you'll have access to send in your big fish photo, send in your Ask the Pro question, read my weekly blog, get the Kid Fish schedule, and much more. Also, be sure to catch our show on the website on the front page 24/7. You can catch it right after it airs on Saturday for the following 7 days. And you can watch all the archived episodes of our show on our YouTube channel at youtube.com. You'll get all the shows from this season and past seasons as well. Time right now for the Academy Right Stuff feature, talking about the baits that you will need to have tied on to have your best chance at catching schooling fish on your favorite lake. From top to bottom, they are as follows. On the left-hand side of your frame, that's a topwater popper or chugger type bait in case you can actually get a cast into the schooling fish. If they're down under the surface, say from 0 to 10 feet deep, then you can catch them on a lipless rattling crankbait like the shiny gold one you see I caught the fish on today. And if they go all the way to the bottom, anywhere from 10 to 20, 25 feet deep, you can catch them on a jigging spoon. That's a big, heavy 1/2 or 3/4 ounce jigging spoon, and I changed the treble hook out to a single. Hey, I want to mention that next week's episode will be on at a special time. We'll be on at 8 p.m. Thursday night before the Texas Rangers baseball game out on the West Coast. If you're setting your DVR, set it for the Saturday morning airing. That time never changes. Also, be sure to check us out on our Facebook page. You'll get a sneak peek preview video of our show each week before the show actually airs, and lots of content that you won't see here on the television show. Thanks for joining us this week from Ray Hubbard Lake near Rockwall, Texas. Employ some of these techniques we've talked about today on your favorite lake, and you'll have a great time catching schooling fish right through the upcoming fall months. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.